Good evening. I'm John Dickerson.
I'm Maurice Dubois.
The stroke of midnight began a new month and the first partial shutdown of the U.S. government in nearly 7 years as federal funding expired at 12:01 a.m.
The last shutdown during President Trump's first term in office was over funding for his border wall. That one lasted 34 days and is the longest in U.S. history.
This time, roughly 750,000 federal workers are expected to be temporarily laid off, and some could potentially be fired by the Trump administration.
Thousands of others, including military personnel, will continue to work without being paid until the shutdown is over. This comes as recent surveys have found nearly 70% of all Americans are living paycheck to paycheck.
Caitlin Huey-Burns leads us off tonight from Capitol Hill.
Well, Maurice and John, for those wondering when will this end, today provided no clear answers. There was plenty of finger pointing, but no real progress as this shutdown rolls on into another day.
Tourists in D.C. and around the country all encountered the same thing when they tried to visit many national parks and federal buildings. Padlocked doors and closed signs, including at the Capitol Visitor Center. Inside the Capitol, the gridlock grinds on.
We are ready to sit down with anyone at any time and at any place in order now to reopen the government.
There isn't anything we can do to make this bill any better for them. We literally did not put one single partisan provision in the bill.
About 750,000 federal employees across government were expected to be furloughed, including most employees at the Departments of Education and Labor and the Environmental Protection Agency. Ariana, who didn't want us to share her last name, was furloughed this morning from her job at the Department of Agriculture, where 40% of the staff were told to stay home. She's a veteran who served in Afghanistan.
I'm really hopeful that this shutdown doesn't last much longer, so that the civil servants can get back to serving the American people.
The shutdown is also likely to slow down air travel. The TSA warned today of longer wait times at airports. Some employees forced to work with deferred pay. TSA officer and union rep Aaron Barker.
Most TSA officers live paycheck to paycheck, to go without an entire paycheck is where the issue is going to come in. So you can expect more officers not being able to come to work due to the lack of means of income.
And things could get worse for those furloughed. The Trump administration told lawmakers today some federal workers in jobs not aligned with the president's priorities could be permanently fired starting in the next day or two.
Let's be honest. If this thing drags on for another few days or, God forbid, another few weeks, we are going to have to lay people off.
So, Caitlin, all that being said, do we have any sense of where this is going? What happens next here?
Well, there is a small group of bipartisan senators who have been talking today about some of the policy proposals. So that's a little bit of progress, but don't hold your breath because tomorrow the Senate won't even be here. They will observe Yom Kippur. They won't return until Friday. So we won't see a vote on this until at least Friday afternoon. And I should note that while those furloughed employees are working with deferred pay, members of Congress will still receive paychecks during a shutdown.
Caitlin, there have been shutdowns for the last 40 or so years. The White House is reacting differently, though, to this one.
That's right. The administration said today that they are canceling climate change funding for about 16 blue states. They also said they're going to pause about $18 billion in infrastructure projects set to be in place in New York City, which happens to be the hometowns of the two Democratic leaders in Congress.
Playing hardball. Caitlin Huey-Burns on the Hill. Thank you.
For more now on the economic impact of the shutdown, let's bring in Money Watch correspondent Kelly O'Grady. So, Kelly, let's start with that. The impact economically for everyday people.
Well, look, this is really a tale of two realities. If you are a federal worker, and even if you're going to get back pay if you're furloughed, this is going to be tough. So I can't emphasize this enough. If you are someone that is living paycheck to paycheck, now is the time to talk to your landlord, talk to your credit card companies, be upfront about your financial picture and come up with a plan. That being said, if you're not a federal worker and the average American, your financial picture doesn't drastically change immediately. And you zoom out out to the impact to the broader U.S. economy, EY Parthenon estimates $7 billion a week that the government is shut down to the U.S. economy. I know that might seem like a big number, but it's actually just 0.1% of U.S. GDP growth. So there will be ripples, but we normally do bounce back from something like that pretty quickly.
We want to know about jobs numbers Friday. What's going to happen to those with no...
You and me both, John. So the Bureau of Labor Statistics is not going to release this. They've already said that with the shutdown. We've also got an inflation report coming out in 2 weeks. We've also got them not collecting data for future months. And so that really puts at risk the quality of future months. This is important because the Federal Reserve uses this data to decide on interest rate decisions. And if they don't have it, it's going to be hard for them to prioritize labor market or inflation.
Where do they turn for data in the meantime?
Well, we got the ADP employment report that looks at the private sector. We lost 32,000 jobs in September, and we were also down in August. So that underscores we're seeing a pullback.